Today, this Labour government is shutting down the lab. The experiment is over. We will deliver what you've asked for time and again, and we will take back control of our borders. Now, make no mistake, this plan means migration will fall.
Chaos is brewing in Westminster, and this time, the shockwaves are undeniable. In a move no one saw coming, King Charles has seemingly bestowed Nigel Farage with unprecedented influence, an endorsement that's shaking the very core of British politics. Farage is no longer just a voice on the sidelines. He's now a political juggernaut, championing the frustrations of the public with royal backing. Meanwhile, Keir Starmer is unraveling, desperately clinging to a faltering campaign as Labour tumbles in the polls, facing a political storm unlike any before. King Charles power play. Keir Starmer is losing control, and this time, it's not just political theatre. It's a full-blown crisis.
Migration is part of Britain's national story. We talked last week about the great rebuilding of this country after the war.
In a stunning turn of events, King Charles has granted Nigel Farage a symbolic influence that Labour could only dream of. Farage isn't just rising in the polls. He's become a national force, representing the frustrations of the working class with a backing that now seemingly includes the monarchy. This is more than just a political shift. It's a seismic realignment shaking Westminster to its core. And Starmer is feeling the pressure. Labour's grip on voters has been slipping for months, but the latest polling figures are nothing short of catastrophic. Reform UK, the party once dismissed and ridiculed by mainstream media, is now leading Labour by a staggering 10 points, 32% to 22%. This isn't just a bump, it's a political earthquake. Local elections solidified the shift, with Labour not just underperforming but being humiliated in districts they once held comfortably. Voters who had backed Jeremy Corbyn in droves are now abandoning Starmer, fed up with his hollow centrism, unfulfilled promises, and quiet alignment with globalist policies that many blame for economic decline and crumbling borders. As Reform UK surges, panic ripples through the establishment. Media outlets and political insiders scramble to make sense of the shift, but the truth is glaringly simple. Farage is saying what millions are thinking.
What I've been told repeatedly is the home of European democracy, and so surely we could have taken the opportunity this morning to celebrate.
And now, with King Charles subtly backing him, it's impossible to ignore. While the media obsessed over royal drama and Prince Harry's latest tell-all, King Charles was reshaping the political landscape from behind the scenes. His upcoming trip to Canada, billed as a historic address, has already raised eyebrows, not because of the visit itself, but because of who's consulting him ahead of it. Nigel Farage. Yes, you heard that right. King Charles is turning to Farage for insights on foreign policy. Farage, long dismissed by political elites, has been a vocal advocate for sovereignty, independence, and British pride, values that resonate with the monarchy. Sources inside the palace suggest that Charles sees Farage as a crucial voice for uniting a fractured nation. In a time of political scandals and fractured leadership, Farage's bluntness and patriotism have struck a nerve. Now, with the king acknowledging that influence, the tides are shifting. Labour's headquarters are in chaos. Insiders report that Starmer erupted when the news broke. Furious phone calls, shouting matches, and panicked strategy sessions filled the Labour war room. This wasn't just a political misstep, it was practically a royal endorsement of everything Farage represents. And in British politics, symbolism matters. A simple nod from the monarchy can shift public perception, and a royal consultation? That's a game-changer. Even Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp couldn't keep his composure. During an interview with Camilla Tominey on GB News, Philp's frustration boiled over. What began as a routine political grilling turned into a meltdown. Tominey's pointed question, why Farage's message resonated more with the working class than Labour's polished rhetoric, left Philp scrambling. He tried to dismiss Farage as a man without a plan, but his argument collapsed as he admitted that Labour had failed to control the borders and had driven up taxes.
25,000 illegal crossings since they came to office, a 28% increase on the same period 12 months ago.
It was a political blunder that exposed just how fragile Labour's position has become. The truth is undeniable. Reform UK isn't just making noise. They're dominating. They've tapped into the frustrations of the working class, the middle class, and anyone tired of being lectured by elites who have never faced the struggles of everyday life. Farage's rise isn't just a fluke, it's a statement, a rebellion against the status quo. And now, with King Charles subtly backing his influence, that statement has grown louder. Now let's reveal how Farage's rise and Starmer's surrender are rewriting Britain's future. So could this royal endorsement be the turning point that reshapes Britain's destiny forever? Stay tuned. The Great Brexit Betrayal. Now here's where things take a dramatic turn behind the scenes. Labour insiders are reportedly pleading with King Charles to keep Farage out of the royal spotlight. They know the stakes if Farage is seen standing alongside royalty, not as a fringe firebrand, but as a statesman. It's game over. And the reality is, that's exactly what's happening. Farage has transitioned from a political outsider to a leading figure, from Brexit agitator to national leader, and now, whether intended or not, from rebel to royal advisor. Charles, perhaps unknowingly, has handed Farage a crown of legitimacy, and Starmer is fuming. This isn't just political theater, it's a regime change. The old establishment is cracking, replaced by voices with real conviction. As King Charles steps further into his role as a global leader, he's aligning with those who truly believe in Britain's sovereignty, not technocrats like Starmer who see the nation as a mere social experiment. That's why Starmer is panicking. He knows that if Reform UK takes power and Farage walks into number 10 with public support and a royal handshake, there will be a reckoning. The elites once laughed at Farage, the media mocked him, and Labour dismissed him. But now, they watch helplessly as he rises as Britain's most powerful political force.
Nigel Farage's Reform UK, who is poised to build a strong local base from ground zero and is looking to provide a serious challenge on Westminster.
With the king nodding approvingly from the shadows. This is the moment the establishment feared, and it's too late to stop it. Fast forward to May 2025, and Starmer is gearing up to drag Britain back to Brussels. Forget the promises, forget the slogans, forget the voice of 17.4 million people. Labour is setting the stage for a Brexit betrayal. The so-called reset of UK-EU relations is just a thinly veiled surrender. Behind closed doors, Whitehall officials are pushing for the Swiss model, the same Switzerland that accepted EU rules, handed over millions to Brussels, and got limited single-market access in return. That's the plan now. Capitulate, pay up, and play by their rules. But it's not just about trade, it's about sovereignty. Starmer is preparing to sign Britain up for permanent alignment with EU regulations, starting with agriculture. But everyone knows it won't stop there. Open that door a crack, and Brussels will shove it wide open. Bit by bit, British laws, standards, and freedoms will be bargained away for bureaucratic handshakes and diplomatic smiles. And what's Starmer's excuse? He claims the public has moved on from Brexit, that people are too tired, too distracted, or too disillusioned to care. He says we should look forward, not back. But let's be clear, what he's saying is, forget the referendum, forget what you voted for. We know better. This isn't a reset, it's a rollback, a quiet, calculated unraveling of Brexit under the mask of pragmatism. But the backlash is already bubbling beneath the surface. Brexiteers are calling it what it is: a betrayal. Reform UK is sharpening its claws, ready to pounce. Even within Labour's own ranks, advisors are terrified of the backlash in the Red Wall, the very heartlands that Starmer desperately needs to secure. They're not buying this Brussels love affair. They remember 2016, the lies, the fear-mongering, and the battle to reclaim control. Here's the kicker. While Starmer is busy rolling out the red carpet for EU bureaucrats, he's risking Britain's trade deal with the United States. Conservative MPs warn that realigning with EU rules could sabotage any meaningful negotiations with Washington. That means fewer opportunities, more red tape, and a Prime Minister who thinks playing both sides is a sign of strength. But you can't serve two masters. Not Brussels and Britain, not EU alignment and true independence. And just when you think it couldn't get more cynical, news breaks of Starmer's government setting up a surrender squad inside Whitehall. Yes, that's reportedly what it's called. Their role? Not to negotiate, not to protect Britain's interests, but to draft the terms of capitulation before any summit even begins. May 19th is the date to watch. That's when Starmer will host what insiders are already calling the Surrender Summit. It'll be cloaked in diplomatic niceties, but make no mistake, it's a moment of reckoning. So, let's call it what it is: a backdoor re-entry into EU control. A betrayal of Brexit, of democracy.
Is there a danger that the countries in the European Union, such as right here in Germany, that they could soon be faced with political paralysis on the order of a Brexit?
And of every voter who believed in taking back control. Starmer may think this is his moment to shine on the world stage. But for millions, it's déjà vu, a bitter reminder of broken promises. Britain voted to leave. Labour is voting us back in. And if the people don't speak up now, this time, there might not be a way back. A clash of political ideologies and visions for Britain. Keir Starmer and Nigel Farage, two names that echo across the political landscape of Britain, representing not just differing ideologies but entirely different visions for the nation's future. Their paths to political prominence couldn't be more distinct. Yet both now find themselves at the forefront of a high-stakes power struggle that could redefine the course of British politics. Starmer's journey began not in politics, but in law. Born in 1962, he carved out a reputation for himself as a champion of justice long before he stepped into the political arena. His time as the Director of Public Prosecutions from 2008 to 2013 showcased his dedication to the rule of law, earning him respect across political divides. It wasn't until 2015 that he entered Parliament as the MP for Holborn and St. Pancras, quietly but steadily building his influence. When Starmer took the reins of the Labour Party in 2020, many saw him as a measured, methodical leader. A stark contrast to the bombastic figures that had dominated headlines. By 2024, his disciplined approach paid off. Labour clinched a historic victory, propelling Starmer to the role of Prime Minister, a calculated rise marked by precision and persistence. But while Starmer's ascent was methodical, Farage's rise was nothing short of disruptive. Born in 1964, Farage first dabbled in politics as a member of the Conservative Party, but the signing of the Maastricht Treaty in 1992 pushed him to break away. His disillusionment sparked the beginning of something far bigger than himself, the UK Independence Party, UKIP. Co-founding the party, Farage quickly became its loudest voice, railing against European influence and championing the idea of a sovereign Britain. His tenure as a member of the European Parliament from 1999 to 2020 became a stage for his bold declarations against EU policies. Farage didn't just want change, he wanted a revolution, and Brexit became his battleground. When the Brexit Party emerged and later transformed into Reform UK, his ambitions only grew. In 2024, his persistence was rewarded when he secured a seat in Parliament as the MP for Clacton, a symbolic victory for the man who once seemed to be fighting against the tide. The rivalry between Starmer and Farage is more than just political theater. It's a clash of fundamentally opposing worldviews. Starmer's Labour, traditionally known for its commitment to social justice and robust public services, has taken a surprising turn under his leadership. His stance on immigration has noticeably hardened.
The Borders Bill, precisely to his point, the Borders Bill is the first bill to give terrorism-like powers to law enforcement, precisely so that we can get in before the crimes are committed, before people get to this country.
A shift many attribute to the rising influence of Farage's Reform UK. Some critics argue that Starmer is merely mirroring Reform UK's policies in a bid to reclaim disillusioned voters, a calculated move or a sign of wavering principles. Farage certainly thinks it's the latter. He's accused Starmer of political opportunism, adopting right-leaning policies not out of conviction, but out of necessity to stay relevant. On the other side of the divide, Farage's Reform UK is anything but subtle about its vision. With a platform built on reducing immigration, reclaiming national sovereignty, and championing free market principles, Farage paints himself as the defender of true British independence. His critiques of Starmer's shifting policies are sharp and unyielding. To Farage, Starmer is merely playing catch-up, an echo of Reform UK's ideals without the authenticity to back it up. Farage's growing influence in Parliament signals more than just political momentum. It hints at a seismic shift that the establishment may not be ready for. And so, the stage is set. Two men, two visions, and one political battlefield where every move is scrutinized and every word is ammunition. As Labour tightens its grip on government and Reform UK gathers momentum, one question looms larger than ever. Can Starmer's calculated pragmatism withstand the fire of Farage's populist surge, or is Britain on the verge of a political upheaval unlike any it has seen before, and that's just the beginning? The real clash is yet to come. Battle lines drawn. Keir Starmer has been unrelenting in his criticism of Nigel Farage and Reform UK, aiming for their policies and credibility with sharp public attacks. One of the most notable moments came during Labour's local election campaign launch in April 2025. Starmer didn't hold back, accusing Reform UK of fawning over Putin, referencing Farage's past comments that seemed to admire the Russian leader. This wasn't just a casual remark. Starmer used this to paint Reform UK's foreign policy as dangerously soft on authoritarian regimes. It was a clear attempt to position Labour as the party of responsible leadership on the global stage, directly challenging Farage's image as a credible statesman. The confrontations didn't stop there. Just a month later, in a tense Prime Minister's questions session, Starmer confronted Farage over his shocking statement about Jaguar Land Rover, where Farage suggested the famous British carmaker deserves to go bust. This comment sparked widespread anger, especially among those worried about jobs and the future of British manufacturing. Starmer seized the moment to defend the automotive industry and the thousands of workers it supports. His fiery "shame on him" struck a chord with many who felt Farage's remarks showed a dangerous disconnect from everyday British realities. Starmer's criticisms extended beyond economics into national security and immigration. In a recent parliamentary debate, he accused Farage of hypocrisy for claiming to be tough on immigration while refusing to back the government's borders bill. Starmer insisted that the last government lost control of the borders, highlighting what he saw as glaring contradictions in Reform UK's promises versus their actions. This was no mere political point. It was part of Starmer's effort to expose Farage's empty promises and to contrast Labour's genuine commitment to securing the nation's borders. Perhaps Starmer's most strategic move came during a high-profile interview with The Sun, where he framed the upcoming general election as a showdown between himself and Farage. Dismissing the Conservative Party as a busted flush, he declared that the real contest would be Labour versus Reform UK. This bold statement did more than hype up the election. It strategically raised Farage's profile as a primary opponent, aiming to attract disillusioned Conservative voters to Labour's side. Starmer painted a clear choice for the public: a steady, respected Labour government or a risky, radical shift under Reform UK. Starmer's attacks aren't random. They form part of a carefully crafted narrative designed to dismantle Farage's political image. By targeting Farage's foreign policy views, economic statements, and immigration stance, Starmer aims to redraw the political battlefield. His framing of the election as a direct fight against Reform UK makes it clear he sees Farage not as a fringe player, but as a real threat to be confronted head-on, both in debates and at the ballot box. As Starmer continues to build momentum, it remains to be seen how Farage will respond. Will he double down on his controversial stances, or will he shift tactics to counter Labour's growing momentum? Keep watching. Nigel Farage strikes back. Nigel Farage has fired back fiercely at Prime Minister Keir Starmer's recent criticisms, especially on immigration and economic policies. Farage argues that Starmer's sudden policy changes are not driven by conviction but by a desperate attempt to win back voters' trust. According to Farage, these moves are little more than political tactics designed to cover up Labour's failures rather than offer real solutions. When Starmer accused Reform UK of fawning over Putin, Farage's response was sharp and unapologetic. He questioned Starmer's authority on jobs, pointing out the massive loss of over 70,000 jobs in Scotland's North Sea oil industry, which he blamed on government policies aimed at achieving net zero carbon emissions. Farage insisted that Starmer had no right to lecture others on employment issues when his government's actions had caused such devastating damage. He also criticized Starmer's recent budget, arguing that increased national insurance contributions on businesses would only deepen the job crisis in Scotland and further damage the economy. On the National Health Service, Farage was equally dismissive of Starmer's claims. He called them completely untrue and reassured voters that under Reform UK, the NHS would remain free at the point of use. This, he said, was a clear contrast to what he sees as Starmer's misleading statements and vague promises. Farage wants to position his party as the true protector of the NHS, pushing back against Labour's attempts to claim the healthcare mantle. Farage also accused Starmer of copying Reform UK's hardline stance on immigration, but without any real intention to act. He pointed to Starmer's sudden use of the Brexit slogan, "Take back control," as evidence of a reactive, not sincere, approach. "I was using take back control in 2004, Farage reminded the public. He highlighted that Starmer had spent much of his career supporting free movement and had only recently adopted a tough immigration tone because the public is increasingly concerned about the issue. Farage emphasized that immigration has now surpassed the NHS as the top worry for many voters, suggesting that Starmer is simply chasing popular opinion rather than leading with genuine policies. Another key point in Farage's criticism is the government's lack of transparency on immigration statistics. Alongside other Reform UK MPs, he has demanded detailed data on the costs of illegal migration and asylum seekers, including expenses for housing migrants in hotels and welfare payments. Farage openly questioned the government's motives, asking, "What is the government trying to hide from us?" He stressed that without full disclosure, public trust in government management of immigration will continue to erode. In summary, Farage paints Starmer's recent policy announcements as superficial gestures made for political gain rather than serious, committed plans. He frames Reform UK as the genuine alternative promising clearer governance and policies that truly reflect the concerns of ordinary people. Farage's message is simple but powerful. Voters deserve honesty, transparency, and real solutions, not empty slogans and political posturing. With King Charles backing Nigel Farage, the political landscape is changing fast, and Keir Starmer is feeling the heat. But could this be the beginning of Farage's rise? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.